Good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning. And welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. With myself, Baz. I hope you're all fine on this fantastic Tuesday morning. Fantastic Tuesday morning. It broke last night. That I'm just double check. We'll go, that's fine. It broke. The news did break last night that Daizen Maeda went home to have his to be with his wife to have their kid, which didn't happen. I hope it's happened now, and Daizen will probably be back in Japan for that. Um, yeah, I'm just reading that, Lanky. I've just said that. It's a tradition. They want to keep their corpse born in their native country. That's not too a bad thing. That's not too bad thing, and especially in this day and age. Um, yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that. But with Daizen Maeda also talking about, well, confirming at last that Celtic have opened extension talks, and that's all I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it extension talks because if we do manage to convince Daizen Maeda to stay a little bit longer at Celtic, this will be the deal of the decade. I'm going to say that this puts it up there with keeping a hold of Henrik Larsson when Manchester United came calling for him, and Henrik went, "Nope, I'm staying at Celtic. I want to give this support and I want to give the club back as much as I can for what they've given me." Will Daizen Maeda do the same this summer? The Daily Record put out last night that he's confirmed that Celtic had initiated talks, but he said, let's just focus on winning the league. Now, the last time a manager said this, let's just focus on the league and winning the treble. The last time a manager said that, he walked out the door and he walked into the cup final and he told our owner and Peter Lawwell that he wanted to talk to Spurs. Just saying. Just putting that out there. So it then got me thinking, there's a poll question. Do you think that Daizen Maeda will stay longer than 2027? Currently there's 56 votes. 62% say yes, they think he will stay longer. 38% say no. David Lamont says, how could you possibly replace Daizen? How could you replace Daizen? Well, Celtic have replaced Henrik Larsson in the past, and the club goes on. The club does go on, but let's just hope that that's not a video that I have to do this summer. If he doesn't sign, and we go into the summer, if he hasn't signed by the time that the players leave and go on holiday, you've got to remember that the players generally don't talk to the manager or anyone. They go on their holidays right after the cup final, and then that will be them until they come back for pre-season. It's a very difficult time to try and get them to talk about contract extensions when they're on holiday. I'm just saying. And then puts Celtic in a very precarious position, because even though Johan Malby has said that he reckons our books, and there's a lot of clubs that would punt out 50 million to get a player like Daizen Maeda. And it's a very, very tricky situation. Well, obviously, was he on 33 goals this season across all competitions? Malby says, look, if Nico Kuhn was valued, and this is true, if Nico Kuhn was valued at 25 million at the first half of the season with his goal scoring exploits, between 15 and 20 million, and then Newcastle were sniffing about him. If that's what he's worth, definitely the 40 million range, and he will become the most expensive player ever to be sold. If Celtic were to sell him this summer, it would be absolutely devastating. And Lanky says that Daizen should be on 50k a week. I think he should be on more than that if we really want to keep him. Daizen is a very honest guy, as are the Japanese, and the way that they're very honourable. And he says that he's no superstar. He just comes to work and he works hard. I think that for Daizen Maeda, it may not just be about money. Do you know, it may be about testing himself at that higher level. Now, you're going to say that the Champions League is the higher level. How ironic, Newcastle wanted Kun, now we're getting Newcastle in pre-season. Lanky, I said that at the time when that story broke. And it'll be interesting to see if they put a bid in for Nico Kun right after that. I don't think it'll happen before, but once they see him up close and personal, they'll go, yeah, we need a winger, we'll put a bid in for him. It could be an interesting summer. I mean, Celtic could bring in upwards of 50, 60, 70 million in transfer fees if things were to go the way that maybe expected by some in the media. But let's hope it doesn't. Let's hope it's a relatively quiet summer for a change. Let's hope it's a relatively quiet summer. Celtic do have a reputation of selling their assets when they're at their... Let's just hope it doesn't happen with Daizen. The fact that they have open contract talks is absolutely fantastic. I want Daizen Maeda to stay, but I know the situation at Celtic, and we all know the financial situation at Celtic and the way that the board run the club. And I'll say it again, Daizen Maeda will not be allowed to become a Greg Taylor and walk out. He's far too big an asset. Greg Taylor got lucky with the fact that we needed a left back. We were losing Alex Baye. The club has never really brought in a suitable left back to... Well, you could say that Alexandro Bernabeu was that, but he went away back to South America. And Greg Taylor found himself in a strange position where the club would not sell him because it would have left us short in that position. So he's managed to wangle his way to the end of the season. And I still believe that Greg Taylor will walk away for absolutely nothing and go into to get better wages and play at a different level. Daizen Maeda will not be given that opportunity. If Daizen Maeda does not sign a contract this summer with Celtic, come the end of the transfer window, if there is a bid between £25 million and above, I fully expect Celtic to sell the player. It's as simple as that. They will not allow him to go into the final season of his contract. It would be absolute crazy if he doesn't sign it before the season starts. Celtic have got a very, 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 very difficult decision to make. And anyway, so the poll question was, do you think Daizen Maeda will stay longer at the club? It's currently 62% say yes, 61% say yes, 62% say it keeps on going up and down, and we managed to 31% say no. Hey, go and play with that ball somewhere else, Doug. Jesus. Lanky says, I don't think any of our stars will leave in January. It's more about bringing players in. In January? I don't think any of our players will leave in January. I think that they'll leave this summer. Never mind January. We need to get this summer out of the way. Jeez, and you're talking about January, Lanky. That's crazy talk. We always sell our players, our most important player, during the summer. It's never... Well, we sold... I take that back because we sold Kyogo Furuhashi. But Kyogo Furuhashi did tell Celtic in the summer that he wanted to move. It's going to be interesting. Not the summer, I meant... not January, I meant the summer, says Lanky. He'll go in the summer, says Mo. I don't see Maeda leaving for another 2 years, said Lanky. Jason Lee says, we need a winger. We need 2 wingers as soon as possible. Yes, we do. We need someone to replace Lewis Palmer, who's been allowed to leave the club. And we also need one to replace Jota. The transfer speculation with that. I mean, could this be the summer that Celtic will again break transfer records in Scotland? If we brought in Arne Engels for 11 million and you're still getting people saying that he's not worth it, I mean, you've even got zombies saying that he's not worth it, but when you look at the age of the player and the growth of him. I think it's 11 million in today's market is fantastic. Rate him on what he does in Europe next season. If I'm going to put a bet on, it'll be that Arne Engels will shine in Europe next season for Celtic. So anyway, Daizen Maeda. Let's just hope he isn't sold this summer. Trip announced for Celtic pre-season, and this Newcastle have confirmed. I just open this page. Newcastle have just announced that they'll travel to face Scottish Premiership. We all knew this was happening anyway. It was released a few. Wow. This has got fucking trouble written all over it. Newcastle will be bringing 7,200 away fans. God. Well, that'll be fun that day, won't it? Because they'll team up with the Union Bears. July the 19th, 3 o'clock kickoff at Celtic Park, 7,200 Newcastle United fans will be tickets will be available soon to season ticket holders with 35 plus away points. Oh, that's just going to be mayhem, isn't it? They're on about the last visited Glasgow in the summer of 2023, beating Rangers 2-1 in front of a capacity crowd at Ibrox before travelling to the United States. So that's bound to be Celtic must be going away from home before that. The 19th. Will we play early July away from home? Because they get back the beginning of July, don't they? We're not going to go on could do a 10-day trip after that. Interesting. Wonder if that makes me ask the question: is Celtic going to be doing a tour this year? With all these new players that Celtic may get, I would want Rodgers to extend his stay. Also, we'll be looking for a loan winger to replace Jota. Do you think? I don't think so. I don't think we'll be looking for a loan player to replace Jota. Just my opinion. Arne Engels will have a huge season next year, says David Lamont. Yep, I believe so too. We're playing in Cork as well, aren't we? But that's is that not the 17th? Is that not the 17th? Is that not just a couple of days before? Your session is timed out. Celtic have the availability on the website now for the Newcastle United match. It is on the Celtic website. So that you can buy your tickets for that Newcastle game on the website now. Just click home. That's e-ticketing. Jesus, why am I on that? Celtic have got it on the website. You can buy tickets, but they've not got anything on their site yet. Strange one. But never mind, you can actually buy the tickets. So there you go. I wish they would stop changing the fixtures. There we go. The website. 8th of July. So we're in Cork on the 8th of July. So I wonder if there's going to be a 10-day trip in between that. The 8th of July is the Cork game. Matty boy, I'm good. Cheers. It's 8th of July. 8th of July, so it looks like if Celtic are going to be doing some kind of trip, it hasn't been announced yet where that will be. very doubtful at this late stage if they'll be going to America or something. It's going to be an interesting summer then. Maybe this is the summer that Celtic play a lot of games in and around Europe. You never know. Richard has been controversial this morning. It's something that I said. It's something that I said at the pub at the weekend. Richard Smith says we need a better set piece coach than Gavin fucking Strachan. I think so. I don't think that Gavin Strachan mixes it up enough when it comes to set pieces, especially corners. Bernardo, when he came off the bench versus the Zombies, Bernardo will get more game time next season, I'm sure. Why don't we bring Nakamura in for the free kicks? Nakamura, he has something to do with the youth team in Japan. Nakamura. So you wouldn't get him away. I'm glad to hear it. Excellent channel. Keep up the good work. Who else is my boy? No worries. Cheers for that. How much is on the votes? So we're at 93 votes. 65% say yes, Daizen Maeda will stay longer than 2027. And 35% say no. I'm in the camp of if he doesn't sign the contract before the end of the summer, he'll be off. He will be off. It's just my opinion. But that's what it's called, the One Celtic Fans View. So, Newcastle and away to Cork this summer. Looks like it's going to be an interesting summer of football for Celtic. Last summer saw us take on Chelsea and Man City. We used those games as Champions League warm-up games. Well, Celtic use the Newcastle game as a warm-up qualifier type game, which means that we'll be looking at one other big club, I reckon, this summer. We'll be looking at one other club this summer. The Duck Soup Express. Oh, Jesus. Imagine Daizen's daughter probably happy with her school, though. Jason, I'm not buying that anymore. I'm not buying that. When you go to the extent that you go all the way back to Japan to have your daughter, right, to have your kid, I don't buy this that they're trying to keep. You know, if they're prepared to do that, and Daizen has said, look, I want to just focus on winning the treble. That to me is a player that's passing the buck. Let's get to the end of the season, and his agent will tell him that. Don't say anything about signing a new contract. You know, Lanky, I'm not buying it. It could be traditional all they want, but when it comes to football players, it's are you then saying that they're going to stay here till his kids are 18? Not a chance. I'm still, if I'm a betting man, I'm slapping him on a 30 million transfer this summer. If I'm a betting man. Someone comes in for, Mark says, if someone comes in for Daizen this summer, the club need to slap a huge price tag on him. So other clubs need to think twice. Celtic could slap a £30 million transfer on him easily, 35, 40. People will pay that. He's 2 years left of his contract. Think about that. You know, you have to think about it. Japanese people are very loyal, says Lanky. Yeah, they are. If it was a no doubter, then right, you would say, yeah, boss, I'll sign the contract. That's it. Yeah, I'll do it. But the fact that he's put the doubts, he's putting the doubts out there, it's not guaranteed that he will. And football is a different kettle of fish. Football's a business, and we all know that if someone comes in this summer for 30 million, with a £30 million offer, no shave today, I look like shit. With a £30 million offer for Daizen Maeda, and he's only got 2 years left on his contract, and he doesn't want to sign the deal. When it gets to transfer deadline day, somebody goes, tell you what, there's 35, slapped on the table. There's 35 million with a sell-on fee of 15%. Celtic will take it. Celtic will take it. I think we are clutching at straws with the school stuff, says David. Yes, I think so as well. But as Maeda looked buggered after that late run when he should have scored. Leslie, the fact that he had just travelled back from Japan, that's a hell of a flight. I mean, I know a guy who's DJ'd in Japan, and you know, it's a hell of a journey. It's a hell of a journey, and to fly back and play football the next day, pretty much, is hats off to him. Hats off to him, because the jet lag stuff, that, you know, it does knacker you for a couple of days. I really hope Daizen signs a new deal and wants to stay. I hope he does as well. That was Ali Boy 1888. Paul says, I bet the Celtic fan feels like a right muppet for letting himself and his family down on Sunday. Paul, I think it was a person that got caught up in the moment and has paid the price. He's been sacked. He's been sacked from his job. So, anyway, we move on from it. Do the 45,000... I'm going to turn that on its head, Paul. Do the 45,000 Rangers fans who sang No Pope in Rome... I spoke about this last night. I fucking moved on for it. And up to their knees in Fenian blood, do they feel sorry? No, they don't. No, they don't. Dunno. Anyway, MT Celts Big Rabbi says Maeda will be sold for 20 million plus at his age. That's what happens. It's our club's economic process. I think it'll be more. It'll be 25 million plus. Richard says that he's after a 4.5 hour flight. Jason Lee says that, yeah, that sounds about right. The 25 to 30 million is peanuts in today's game, and in Scotland we can't compete with any of the bigger boys. Christ, we can't outbid the English First Division. This is true. And I'm not, sorry, Blanky, but I'm not buying this nonsense that he'll stay for his kids at school. It's the way that the club is run. If he hasn't signed a contract by the end of the transfer window and somebody comes in, there won't be an early move for Daizen. There won't be an early move. It's all about rivalry, Jason Lee. It is all about rivalry. If there won't be an early move for Daizen Maeda this transfer window. It'll be something that will Ali Boy we're not going to sign him. That ship sailed, if you ask me. If a bid comes in for Daizen, it will be in the last week of the transfer window, similar to what happened with Rio Hatate last year. Club come in for Daizen Maeda for Rio Hatate with a cheeky bid of 10 million, and Celtic knocked it out of the park because it was basically too late for them to try and get someone in. I can't believe that we've given Newcastle 7,000 tickets. Does Celtic not know that they hate us? Does Celtic not know that they actually hate us? And they're well in with Rangers. What are Celtic thinking? What are Celtic thinking? Oh, that's just nuts. That is just nuts. But anyway, do you think that the valuation... It doesn't matter what we think about the valuation or what Johan Malby thinks of the valuation. I think that it's going to be a game of wait and see. Right, what we're at with the votes, 110. Let's see if we get to 111, like that number. And we'll end the poll on 111. Do you need the one vote? Mind you, my first season ticket was in 110. Let's just end it there. Yeah, they're right in with Rangers. Right in with Rangers. They hate Hibs as well. Hate Hibs. They played Hibs a few years ago and there was fucking riots in Edinburgh. It's almost riots in Edinburgh. I'm just saying, on the tick, Mick. Whatever happens with Maeda, we'll have to get it sorted now, so we know where and who we need in. I still say that if anything happens with Daizen, it'll be later on in the transfer window. Clubs will not want to get into a bidding war. If you get into a bidding war for Daizen, that puts it up to 45 million mark. Clubs will try to get clever, but you never know. Somebody might go, I want him in now, I want him for pre-season. You never know. Anyway, that's me done and dusted for this morning. We'll be live later tonight as always, and if there's any Celtic news breaks this afternoon, I'm sure that we'll jump back on for that. It is the time of year where we are just thinking about one thing, and that's getting over the line for the treble. Transfer speculation is going to go through the roof. Atati and Engels provide no defensive cover for their breakaway goal that proved that. It's a talk for another day. I think we need to do a video talking about formation change at Celtic and potential formation change for next season. And can Brendan Rodgers change it up? Yeah, we want to do a live later on. We'll do a live later on. Talking about, do we need Brendan Rodgers to change things up a bit? Because we're getting a little bit too predictable. And this happened as we went into his third season when he was at Celtic the first time. We went into that season and we were far too predictable. When you look at the backroom staff that is at Celtic, they've been there for a long time. They're in a comfort zone. And I don't like it when people are in a comfort zone. When you're in a comfort zone, you're not performing your best. Yeah, so I think we'll do a live later on today talking about that. Make sure you check out the channel to see when that goes live. Maybe around about 3:30 Celtic part-time. Yeah, we'll do that then. Anyway, on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world. 55th champions. We need to change that, don't we? We really need to change that.